Imagine just sitting in your living room. The doors are locked, the security system is armed, and you feel, completely insulated from the outside world.
Right, like you're totally safe.
Exactly. But now imagine realizing that the threat isn't trying to break in, it's already seated at your dinner table.
Oh, wow. That is terrifying.
Right. Or worse, imagine sitting in that same quiet room and suddenly hearing this low, vibrating hum that your partner, who is sitting right next to you, cannot hear at all.
Just completely isolated in your own head.
Yeah. I mean, we rely on the physical walls of our homes and the biological reliability of our own senses to keep us safe. But what happens when both of those fail?
Well, that is the exact psychological territory that television is strip mining this month.
It really is.
Because if you look at the slate of premieres for June 2026, it is just an absolute gold rush of literary adaptations. And, we're not just going to read you a calendar of release dates today.
No, definitely not.
Far from it. When you actually look under the hood of this curated lineup, you start to see these incredibly powerful psychological through lines.
Yeah, we're doing a deep dive today to explore exactly why these specific books are making the leap to the screen right now.
Right. We're talking about, the crushing weight of inescapable past, the terror of unseen environmental forces, and just the absolute complexity of human loyalties.
Exactly. And let's be honest, in this era of peak TV, figuring out what to queue up after a long day can feel like a full-time job in itself.
It really can.
So we are doing this deep dive specifically for you, the listener, to kind of cut through that overwhelming noise. By the end of this conversation, you will understand the structural mechanics behind June's biggest shows.
Whether you are craving a psychological thriller, a sweeping summer romance, or a dragon-fueled political epic.
So if we are starting with the collapse of our safe spaces, we have to look at stories where characters are completely trapped by their own histories.
Yeah, stories where past decisions violently, just unavoidably collide with their present reality.
Which brings us straight to Cape Fear, premiering on Apple TV.
Yes, Cape Fear.
Okay, let's unpack this because I have a major question right out of the gate here.
Sure.
So this is based on John D. MacDonald's 1957 suspense novel, The Executioners.
Right.
The plot follows this attorney, Tom Bowden, whose family is stalked by an ex-con he previously defended. Patrick Wilson, Amy Adams, Javier Bardem as Max Cady. It's a huge cast.
Incredible cast.
But, we have seen this adapted into massive movies in 1962 and again in 1991, so I have to push back here. Aren't audiences completely exhausted by the whole stalker at the window trope? What makes a 2026 audience care about a premise from 1957?
What's a great question, and I think it really comes down to the mechanics of institutional failure.
Okay.
What's fascinating here is that MacDonald wasn't just writing a simple monster story, He was writing about the vulnerability of the modern family unit against a system that is supposed to protect it.
Right, because Bowden is a lawyer.
Exactly. We like to think that the law is a shield. Tom Bowden represents the law. But the antagonist, Max Cady, actually uses the boundaries of the legal system against him.
Ah, I see.
Cady doesn't just break the law to terrorize this family. He operates right on the agonizing edge of it. He's weaponizing the protagonist's professional past.
Yeah.
It's the terror of accountability turning into a physical manifestation.
So it's not just a home invasion. It's the realization that the police and the courts literally cannot save you.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate "you brought this to our front door" scenario where the shield actually becomes the weapon itself.
Precisely. And in a modern era where we are constantly questioning the efficacy of our institutions, a villain who knows exactly how to manipulate the system to terrorize you feels profoundly relevant.
Yeah, it totally strips away the illusion of absolute safety.
It does.
Which is a perfect segue, honestly, because we are moving from a man whose external world is invading his home to a man who is physically trapped inside a cell while his past is entirely out of his control.
The Harlan Coben adaptation.
Yes. I Will Find You, hitting Netflix on June 18th.
That's such a good premise.
It really is. Based on Coben's novel, it stars Sam Worthington as David, a man who has been wrongly incarcerated for the murder of his own son.
Brutal.
But then, from inside a maximum security prison, he discovers evidence that his son might actually still be alive.
The structural pacing required to pull off a premise like that is just immense. A protagonist trapped in a box trying to solve a sprawling external mystery.
It's a huge challenge, but if there is anyone who understands structural pacing, it's Harlan Coben.
Oh, absolutely.
The man is a master of twists. You look at previous adaptations of his work, like the 2006 French film Tell No One, Netflix's Missing You, Amazon's Shelter. I mean, the tension in those stories is suffocating.
It really is.
But there is a crucial technical detail for this new release. Coben is not just, cashing a check for the rights here. He is serving as the executive producer on I Will Find You.
Which is the most important piece of information for any fan of the book.
Really? Why is that such a big deal?
Well, having the original author serve as an executive producer isn't just a vanity credit. It's like having the original structural architect actually living on the construction site of a new building.
Okay, how so? Because, we hear executive producer thrown around all the time in TV. What does it actually mean for the viewer sitting on their couch?
It means structural integrity. Often, when complex thrillers are adapted by a committee, a studio executive might want to knock down a load-bearing plot point just for visual flair.
Right, like making things flashier.
Exactly. They might say, well, let's reveal the villain earlier to cast a bigger star, or, let's make the protagonist more likable in the first act.
Oh, sure.
But when the author's the EP, they're the architects standing in the room saying, wait, if you remove that twist, or if you soften that tragic flaw, the entire third act collapses.
That makes so much sense.
It ensures the signature DNA of the source material translates authentically. You are getting the unfiltered mechanics of a Coben mystery rather than a watered-down committee draft.
I love that analogy. The EP as the load-bearing architect.
Yeah.
Now, Coben and McDonald terrify us with human monsters, right? Corrupt systems, psychopaths, intimate betrayals. But our next two adaptations on the June calendar completely shift the fundamental source of the fear.
They really do. We are moving away from human manipulation and stepping directly into the terrifyingly unknown.
Right. We are looking at forces that are entirely untethered from human control. Premiering June 12th on Starz is The Listeners, based on the book by Canadian writer Jordan Tannehill.
This one has been huge in the UK.
Oh, massive critical acclaim already. So it stars Rebecca Hall as Claire, who is this English teacher whose seemingly normal, stable life completely unravels when she begins hearing a continuous, low-frequency hum.
Just a constant noise.
Constant. And here's where it gets really interesting. Tannehill didn't just invent this out of thin air to write a ghost story. He based this on a documented real-life phenomenon.
You're talking about the hum.
Yes, like the famous Taos hum in New Mexico or the Windsor hum.
It's wild.
It's this fascinating intersection of low-frequency environmental noise and mass psychogenic illness. Literally thousands of people globally report hearing this diesel engine-like drone that doesn't show up on standard acoustic equipment.
Which is just so unsettling.
So when audiences watch this show, they aren't just watching a standard psychological thriller. They're watching an exploration of a real-world audiological mystery.
And if we break down the psychology of why that is so terrifying, it taps directly into the primal fear of isolation.
How do you mean?
Well, think about how we construct our shared reality, right? The human mind needs validation to feel sane. If I see a fire, I need you to see the fire so we both know to run.
Right, of course.
But when you hear a continuous, maddening hum, and your spouse or your children right next to you hear absolutely nothing, your reality is fundamentally fractured from the rest of society.
Wow. Your own senses literally become the barrier between you and everyone you love.
Exactly. It asks the viewer, what do you do when your own biology betrays you? It's an internal, eerie, very quiet kind of terror.
Which sets up an absolutely perfect contrast to our next story.
Oh man, does it ever.
Because we are pivoting from the agonizing isolation of hearing something no one else can to a protagonist who possesses a desperate, flamboyant need to be heard and seen by absolutely everyone.
Yes. We're going from quiet psychological fracture to an immortal rock star craving a global audience.
Let's talk about The Vampire Lestat, premiering June 7th on AMC.
I am so ready for this.
So this is the second installment of Anne Rice's legendary Vampire Chronicles. The book itself was published in 1985 following the smash hit Interview with the Vampire.
Right.
It tracks the Vampire Lestat's journey as he becomes a literal rock and roll star, stepping completely out of the shadows. Sam Reed is playing Lestat, getting his own self-titled season after Roland Jones's first 2 seasons of the TV adaptation.
But there is a massive deviation from the source material here that we really need to analyze.
The timeline.
The timeline. In Anne Rice's 1985 novel, the rock star storyline is, naturally, set in the 1980s. But for this new series, they've aggressively updated the timeline. The show takes place right now, than the modern age of 2025.
I'll admit, when I first read that, I was highly skeptical.
Really?
Yeah, the 1980s MTV aesthetic felt so baked into the DNA of that specific book. Why risk alienating the book purists by dragging a goth rock vampire into the 2020s?
Well, we connect this to the bigger picture. That timeline shift fundamentally changes the narrative mechanics of what a monster actually is.
Okay, I'm listening.
Think about it. In the 1980s, fame was distant. It was MTV, it was magazines. There was a literal screen between the rock star and the fan. You couldn't just reply to Lestat on Twitter.
Right, very true.
But in 2025, fame is intimate, it's relentless, and it's entirely digital. We are talking about a creature of the night navigating the era of social media and parasocial relationships.
Oh, that's fascinating. So the fans think they actually know him because of his digital footprint, completely unaware that they are literally his prey.
Exactly. It completely flips the power dynamic of the classic monster myth. I mean, how does an immortal predator hide in plain sight when every single person on the street has a 4K camera in their pocket?
Or, better yet, for a narcissist like Lestat, how does he weaponize that digital landscape to lure people in?
Yes. By moving the timeline to 2025, the writers aren't just, changing the wardrobe. They are modernizing the entire mythology of how a predator interacts with a hyper-connected society.
Okay, an emotional vampire rock star manipulating modern parasocial dynamics. I'm completely sold on that.
That's brilliant.
But look, after surviving weaponized legal systems, mass psychogenic illnesses, and social media-savvy vampires, we really need to bring the heart rate down.
Oh, it is definitely time to let the audience breathe a little bit.
Let's shift gears and look at adaptations that explore the grounded, intricate complexities of human relationships.
Sound good.
We are going to scale from the volatile spites of a single summer romance all the way up to the ultimate dysfunctional family dynasty.
Quite the range.
First up, premiering on Amazon Prime is Every Year After. And for you listening, today's date is actually June 10th, which means this premiere is dropping right now.
Yes, based on Carly Fortune's best-selling 2022 debut novel, Every Summer After.
Exactly. The plot follows Persephone Fraser. She gets an unexpected phone call from an old flame, Sam Florek, and it kicks off this narrative timeline that constantly looks backward, exploring years of a very hazy, complicated relationship.
This nonlinear structure is becoming incredibly dominant in romance adaptations right now.
Right. So what does this all mean? Why are we, as audiences, so drawn to these fractured, jumping timelines rather than just watching two people meet and fall in love in chronological order?
Well, it's because a nonlinear timeline mimics the actual neuroscience of memory and nostalgia.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When we think about our own past relationships, we don't remember them like a sequential textbook. Memory is triggered, right? A smell, a song, or a phone call instantly yanks you back to a specific summer.
That is so true.
The hazy summer trope works so well because nostalgia literally edits out the boring parts of our lives and leaves only the massive emotional spikes.
It's like turning romance into an archaeological dig.
That's a great way to put it.
You know where the author is today, you see the ruins of the relationship in the present, but you have to piece together the artifacts of how they got there.
Exactly. And, from the agonizing, hyper-specific minutia of a romantic regret, we can kind of scale out to look at the stabilizing baseline of platonic loyalty.
Yes.
Because tomorrow, June 11th, we get Sweet Magnolias Season 5 on Netflix.
Set in South Carolina, based on the book series by Cheryl Woods, this show focuses on three childhood best friends navigating life.
The core trio.
Right. You have Maddie Townsend, a single mother of three. You have Dana Sue Sullivan, a chef and restaurant owner. And Helen Decatur, a successful attorney. 4 seasons in, we've watched them tackle community challenges, divorces, and joys with warmth and a whole lot of tears.
A whole lot.
But I have to play devil's advocate here for a second. In an era of incredibly dense prestige television, is the massive popularity of a show like this just, intellectual laziness? Why do we need this alongside heavy psychological thrillers?
I'm glad you brought that up because this raises an important question about the sociology of television viewing.
Okay.
It is absolutely not intellectual laziness. It is a psychological utility.
How so?
Well, we just spent 20 minutes talking about shows designed to induce stress, fracture reality, and terrorize families. Sweet Magnolias serves as a perfect example of the crucial role of comfort viewing. Sociological data shows that in eras of high news cycle anxiety, viewership of low stakes, linear narrative television spikes dramatically.
Because the real world is already providing enough unpredictable plot twists.
Exactly. These characters function as parasocial kin networks. When an audience's real life feels chaotic or in flux, a show about enduring, unshakable friendship acts as an autonomic nervous system regulator. It is not a guilty pleasure. It provides necessary emotional warmth and a predictable rhythm. It is the televisual equivalent of a stabilizing anchor.
I love that reframing. An autonomic nervous system regulator. But what if we take that theme of unwavering family loyalty and we playfully flip it completely on its head?
Oh, I have a feeling we are leaving the comfort of South Carolina.
We absolutely are. We are trading the ultimate supportive friendships for the ultimate bloody boardroom betrayals of Westeros. On June 21st, HBO Max is dropping House of the Dragon Season 3.
The juggernaut of the month.
Oh, totally. Based on George R.R. Martin's Fire and Blood, set 200 years before Game of Thrones. Now, we all know the context here. We all know this prequel series initially had to do massive public penance for the famously controversial finale of Game of Thrones.
They had a lot of ground to make up.
They did. But what is mechanically fascinating about Season 3 of House of the Dragon is how it proves what the actual bedrock of this IP has always been.
And it isn't the dragons.
It's not the dragons. The dragons are just the nuclear deterrents.
Yeah.
The reason this adaptation has successfully earned its way back into the cultural good graces is because it realized that the true core of George R.R. Martin's universe is political betrayal.
It's boardroom politics with swords.
Exactly. It takes the mechanics of a historical succession crisis, like the real-world War of the Roses, and shows how interpersonal family trauma scales up to cause literal geopolitical devastation. It remembered that we don't tune in just for the CGI battles. We tune in for the whispered conversations in the darkened hallways.
We really do. And for you listening, if you haven't dived into the series yet, consider this your official schedule guide.
Yes, get on it.
You have a window right now until June 21st to catch up on the intricate political maneuvering of the first two seasons before the third installment fundamentally changes the map of Westeros.
Absolutely. So if we pull back and look at the territory we have covered today, the sheer mechanical variety of this source material is staggering.
It really is. We've gone from a 1957 suspense novel that weaponizes the legal system against a family to a documented audiological phenomenon adapted into a study of psychological isolation.
Just huge spectrum.
Yeah. We've explored how moving a vampire to 2025 weaponizes modern parasocial relationships, how nonlinear romance mimics the neuroscience of memory, the psychological utility of comfort viewing, and finally, a fantasy epic built on the bedrock of political betrayal.
It really highlights how books remain the structural foundation for the best of television right now.
They really do.
But as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final puzzle to ponder, building directly on the adaptations we've just explored.
Oh, I like a puzzle. Let's hear it.
Well, we noted earlier that a 1957 novel like The Executioners, which became Cape Fear, can be adapted to the screen in 1962, again in 1991, and now in 2026, keeping its core premise of institutional failure essentially unchanged.
It acts as a perfect time capsule, completely bulletproof to the passage of decades. Meanwhile, other stories, like the Vampire Lestat, explicitly require their timelines to be aggressively updated, shifting from the MTV era to the 2025 digital age, just to ensure the themes still resonate with the way we live today.
Right, so one stays frozen and the other has to evolve.
Exactly. So I want you to consider this. The next time you are reading a novel, what exactly dictates that difference?
Oh, that's interesting.
What is the hidden variable inside a story that determines whether an eventual adaptation should act as a perfect time capsule, preserving the exact era it was written in, or if it must act as a shifting mirror, constantly updating to reflect the present day?
Wow, that is a phenomenal question to keep in the back of your mind the next time you crack open a new book. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Go grab your popcorn, find your reading glasses, and get ready for an absolutely incredible month of television.